Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is March 5th, and today's episode is going to cover annual report from the GMC. We're also going to share a tidbit that Ken shared from something that he heard at ETH Denver, which was then confirmed by Langus, which was very exciting. We've got a new Saturn 1 rewards calculator for RPL. We've got an update from AlphaGrowth about Ronin chain and what's happening there. And then we have some Ethereum news about the Pectra hard fork on Sepolia and a whole lot more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So the place to start today is this GMC annual report that Schifrin put together. And he says the Rocket Pool Grants and Management Committee's 2024 annual report is out. Dive into the initiatives the projects funded over the past year and see how they support Rocket Pool's growth and view the full report here. So I'll be honest, I haven't read through the full report yet. I did glance through it and skim through it. So I've got some piece of information I can kind of pull out for you all. But to get the full information, I think the best thing for you to all do is to go and read it yourselves. So here we have the really beautiful design that Schifrin put together. And this is the annual report from January 2024 to 2025. The sections are covered like the GMC membership, who the members are, what the GMC is, and the definitions that the GMC uses. After that, we had data analysis and applications, the funding allocations, and the treasury. And then after that, there was a talk about governance, notable projects, and the conclusion of the report. So it's a 28-page report in total. And then you all know what the GMC is. You all know that I'm on the GMC, and a whole lot of other people are on the GMC too. And then in terms of grants, we the purpose of the grants covered. Some notable grants here are the Schifrin course that was paid out in 2024, but it's going to go live in a few weeks' time. Then there's like team partnerships between Patches and the team, which is really cool. With bounties, the purpose of the bounties, notable bounties are Rocket Alpha closes and Rocket Pool support, which is really cool. Then the retroactive awards, and then the liftoff and the bounty revamp are two of those that got caught up in that. Then we had data on how many applications were submitted each period, and it seemed like there were around 10 applications per period, and around I want to say 60 to 70% of those were selected. On some months we had 90% acceptance rate. On other months we had as low as 50% acceptance, no, 37.5% acceptance rate in November. So a lot of those were rejected. Then there's application breakdown. About half are grants, about a quarter are bounties, and about a quarter are retroactive awards. And then it tells you about the history of this as well, and what we just covered and how many are approved. So application summary, in 2023, there was more retro awards then there were bounties, and there were a bit more grants as well. And this time the grants have lost some ground, the bounties having gained some share. So that's pretty cool to see. In terms of funding allocation, 30% of budget goes to research, 15% of the budget goes to support, 30% of the budget goes to marketing, about 1% goes to public goods funding, 10% goes to development, and 15% goes to governance. So there's greater breakdown there of where that's going. And then we have the funding allocation with more details that you can have a look at. Treasury history. This, of course, depends on the RPL amount that the GMC is holding, and across the course of the year, it went this over 2 years actually, right from the beginning up to the end of December 2024. We got a peak of around 65,000 RPL in the summer of 2024, but since then we've been hovering around that 50,000 RPL amount. And then there's balance data, how much the RPL amount in the balance has changed, and over the last year it went up 2.15%. So the GMC is pretty much self-sustaining in terms of inflows versus outflows, very, very close to those amounts. That's pretty good. And then over the course of 2023, the balance actually grew 10%. So over the last 2 years, GMC has actually like expanded its treasury, which is nice. Then there's a list of all the grants that were approved, bounties that were approved, retroactive awards that were approved, and applications that were denied. And then there was some of the key piece of governance that came through. And this things like includes things like LUSD removal, hiring the new admin, shifting for a second year, market the committee stipends, deferring the decision to PDAO, bounty incentives, treasury sheet, and reserve funding. And then we also had things like talk about the RPL price, continued downtrend over the year, making it difficult to fund larger projects and budget effectively. There was talk about partnerships, team engagement, incubators. I really liked the team engagement this year. That was really great. So the GMC meets with the Rocket Pool team every 2 weeks to discuss ongoing initiatives, ensure alignment, and review project updates. They also assess potential funding applications. Here are some of the notable projects from this year. So there was a tokenomics update, which had $300,000 going towards that. A token motion, which was a subscription that the GMC started with Sleety. The Star is finding RETH to invest, get treasuries to invest in Rocket Pool. And then there's AlphaGrowth, hiring them as the BD arm of the protocol. And then in the year ahead, there was some comments here as well about seeing some of those projects that we funded growing into 2025 and then funding new projects ahead. So that was a really, really great report, Shifrin. Thank you so much for putting it together. I'm looking forward to really digging into it and reading all of it. That's going to be really fun. Okay, so Ken here was talking about Denver and some of the conversations that he had, and this was in context of some conversations that were going on in the governance thread. And he said that I'm trying to decompress after ETH Denver and get caught up to speed with crypto Twitter and the Discord universe. And he says I'm a bit behind. But then he said something really interesting here, and he says, I learned at the Rocket Pool meetup that the contracted law firm has advised the team that just about anything is fair game concerning the RPL value accrual options. He says, I understood that Langers was personally favouring the buyback and burn option, but the lawyers advised that the regulatory aspect should not be a driving factor in our design deliberations, and they see regulatory blue skies ahead. He says, maybe I'll wait for Langers to confirm. But I just thought this was really, really interesting because this has been hanging over our heads for pretty much a year now. Since we were doing the design work, it was one of those unknowns that we just didn't know how to proceed. And one of the things that was stopping was the legal implications of the different revenue capture for RPL, ideas that we had. Just to remind you, the 3 ideas we had was to give the RPL ETH rewards for RPL stakers, just give them more ETH. The other was use the ETH rewards to buy RPL on the secondary market and burn it. And then the third option was to deposit the ETH into liquidity providing positions as one-sided liquidity that will boost up the price and liquidity as well. So those are the 3 options that the community kind of talked about. We weren't sure about what we could and couldn't do in the previous regulatory regime, but now it looks like things are looking much better. So Ken said, I'll wait for Langers to confirm officially, but as I was a few beers in, my reflection of the night is a bit blurry. But anyway, then there was other things that Ken mentioned as well about being at ETH Denver and how he thinks that commit boost is something that's going to be really big, and that's going to help with pre-confirmations and how the market's coming to Ethereum very quickly, and that Rocket Pool should be ready for it, so we can use that on our as a sidecar on Rocket Pool and make sure that it's working as well as possible. And then what was really exciting here is Langers came along and replied to Ken earlier today, saying that is correct. Your understanding is correct. And he said legal review has found no problems moving forward with any of the value accrual solutions. So that, of course, is really exciting to see. And I think now what we can do is the community as a whole can kind of decide on what we think is the best option, not having to pay consideration to whether or not that's going to make the SEC come after us. Okay, in some other Rocket Pool news, here we have Scuzzle sharing his fee switch calculator and how it's out of beta and how you can actually play around with it now. There's still some, there's a thread where you can give feedback for that. We'll come back and have a look at that thread in a minute. But this was actually a bounty that was put out, I think, by Ramana, because Ramana really likes calculators, and Scuzzle, who's actually a GMC member, took up the bounty and put out the calculator. So let's actually go and have a look at the calculator and see what it is and what it does. So here we see that it's a Rocket Pool fee switch calculator, and it says with the tokenomics overhaul, in the Rocket Pool income generation will be changing. And it says it will take place in 2 phases with Saturn 1 and Saturn 2. Saturn 1 will allow the creation of mega pools using 4 ETH bonds, and with income going to R ETH holders, node operators, and RPL stakers. Saturn 2 will expand on this, allowing for even lower ETH bonds and potentially further income streams. Voting has not yet occurred. It says this app is this attempt to explain the mechanics in simple terms and also allow users to estimate things like income or APR in the new system. So here you can see the navigation on the left sidebar. You can see calculator for Saturn 1, then calculator for Saturn 2. That is just a placeholder that doesn't exist yet. And then there's some assumptions that you need to work out, and there's glossary of terms as well. So let's start playing around with the calculator and see what it gives. So here it says the Saturn 1 staking calculator. In Saturn 1, a portion of the mega pool validator income will go to node operators who stake RPL. The APY will heavily depend on the total amount of mega pool validators and the amount of mega pool staked RPL, which do not exist yet. Historically, Rocket Pool has roughly 30,000 validators and hovers around the 10 million staked RPL amount. Not all of this may migrate to mega pools, and these values may change. Input your estimations below. So how much staked RPL is there going to be? I'm going to go for 14 million. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then, so here's a disclaimer, sorry. So it says this is a speculative calculator, allows you to impact what you think will happen in Saturn 1, and then calculate the amount of income you will get. It says the default values are provided as a rough guide and may not reflect actual outcomes. So then you have to say, I understand, and then you can go play with the calculator. So we're going to say 14 million RPL staked. Total validators, we're going to say 30,000 validators. And then RPL ratio, we're just going to leave it as the way it is right now. So that's for the protocol as a whole. And then it says that the total amount of ETH flowing to voters is 116 ETH every 28 days. This means that each effectively staked RPL receives 0.000008 ETH per interval. So now let's have a look at the number of validators a person has. So they might have, let's just stick with one validator, and they have 500 RPL staked. Okay, and then let's see. So it says your effective was limited to 50%. Oh yeah, we've got to make that number small. Oh wait, I wrote 5,000 instead of 500. Okay, so if you have one validator and you have 500 RPL staked, you will be earning about 0.02 ETH per 28 days, which is a 4.5% APY in ETH terms. Of this, 0.0062 ETH is coming from the staked RPL and 0.012 ETH from your validators. And since additionally, you can expect to receive 2.81 RPL per 28 days if the RPL issuance rewards rates continue. Historically, 7.33% APY minus the 5% inflation. So here's what you are. So if you actually go to the max amount that you can have, that's around 1,500. 1,500. Sorry, let me just play with these numbers. You will be getting more rewards. You'll be getting let me see. Yeah, so from your staked RPL, you'll be getting 0.0186 ETH, and that's going to be a 6% APY on your RPL. So that is going to start looking really, really good. Yeah, that's going to start looking really, really good. So I think that there's a lot of assumptions that you can make with this. As the ratio goes up, of course, if we say that the ratio will go to 0.01, then that's going to change your effective amount or your rewards drop off is actually going to get lower. So let's move that down to 600 RPL, and at that point you'll be getting 1.62. Yeah, let me see. 250. Yeah, about 1.6 APY, 1.6% APY. Yeah, I think then you'd have to start playing with the numbers. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of assumptions baked into this. There's a lot of ideas that you might like try to put into this, but go and play around with it and see what you think the network will look like and how much you'll be earning in ETH terms from your RPL stake because of that. And I think the numbers will be quite exciting to see. Okay, we got some news from the Spartan here talking about their AlphaGrowth's relationship with Ronin chain and how that's going. So he says, "Good morning, Rocketpool community. We're in the midst of losing Ronin's $3 million deposit into our ETH. Mantle is providing Ronin with $25 to $50 million in CM ETH to their chain for 10% APY. I would like to work with the GMC and IMC members to create a counter offer. I don't think Mantle is offering any incentives other than providing proof of protocol on liquidity to the chain." So there was basically the way that it works is this. So Mantle will deposit the ETH into Ronin chain, and then Ronin will pay them a yield on that. And basically the numbers, what it's going to work out. So Mantle puts, for example, $37.5 million worth of CM ETH onto Ronin chain, and Ronin will pay them 3.75 million years to have that liquidity there. And he says that's going to be a bad rental price for them. So if you look at what Beefy is doing on L2, on base balancer, they're paying 7%. On R balancer, they're paying 3%. And on OP balancer, they're paying 3% as well. And then Halulu says that, it's Ronin, so there's some extra risk, but like that 10% is still quite a high number. So there's some talk back and forth about what it might look like, whether they can use Star and how all that might work out, or whether we'll just end up losing this relationship potentially because we can't be as attractive as Ronin there. But I think that's really interesting, and thanks for the Spartan for bringing this to our attention. But hopefully, we'll be able to do something with this and make a better offer. Okay, on to some staking news now. We have some updates from Geth, and this is 1.15.5, and this is a hotfix release for Sepolia. That's a little bit of a spoiler. We're going to talk about that next. And also we have Nethermind, and this is this is mandatory for people on Sepolia, and this is 1.13.1.4. I think Besu had an update as well, but I didn't catch that, so keep your eyes open. So why is there hotfixes released? Let's go and find out what happened today. So overnight we had the beacon chain, we had the Sepolia testnet hard forked with Pectra, and this happened at around 2 a.m., just after 2 a.m. And what we got here was that it went through on the chain, and we got the first proposal coming through. Everything was looking good to begin with, and Tim Baiko was tweeting about it, saying we finalized, which of course is really, really great to see. It looks like everyone was proposing as well, and this of course makes sense because Sepolia is a permission chain, so all the operators on there are all permissioned, of course. So that is good that it was going smoothly at this point. However, that wasn't long to last. Tim Baiko says that he jinxed it. This is when investigating an issue caused by the custom deposit contract on Sepolia. Again, this is an issue that happened on Haleshki as well. This has caused some execution layer clients to have issues, including transactions in blocks. So what was happening is the blocks were being submitted and they were going through. However, the problem was that these blocks were empty. So there were no transactions in there. And here, people started commenting back and forth and about what's happening. And here, Tim Biko then had another update saying client teams have coordinated on a fix and they're trying to deploy it to validators now. And that was the Geth update that I just mentioned. It says if this works as expected, we'll have a longer update out shortly. And then POTUS said, let's just skip Pectra altogether. Let's just move on to Fusaka. It says that this hard fork is jinxed. It says selling all his ETH moving to Cardano. So of course he's not moving to Cardano, but we had a little bit of an update saying, get ready to upgrade your Sepolia testnet execution nodes. Get it all out there. So Geth already had their update, and then there was Reth, Eragon as well in this Proto Lambda sharing the links to those updates. So it looks like people were trying to fix it, and here Proto Lambda had some information saying client release had been rolled out to address an issue with log detection of the non-standard test purpose deposit contract. Beacon validators are coordinating an upgrade at 2 p.m. UTC to minimize disruption. Older releases will fall out of sync. And then here, Tim Biko had an update a little while later saying that we've identified and deployed a fix for the Sepolia deposit contract issue found earlier today. The issue was caused by Sepolia's custom permission contract, which is different from mainnet. All node operators must upgrade their nodes. Validators have been upgraded and the chain is now operating normally, so they get it all fixed. It is possible that some explorers, wallets, or other infrastructure providers have issues until they also upgrade their nodes. So it looks like eventually Sepolia was fixed. Now we'll find out in tomorrow's all core devs whether any of this is going to impact the timeline for Sepolia on mainnet. Now, as far as I know, I don't think it should, because this bug is just showing up on testnets. It's not something that will be applicable to mainnet in the same way, as far as I know. But definitely keep your eyes open for that one and see what happens there. There was this really interesting post that came out in Nethermind that I want to talk about for a quick minute. And this is from Marek, who is the team lead at Nethermind now, saying that we aim to ship Fusaka in 2025. The Fusaka scope should be finalized ASAP so we can we can proceed with scoping Glamsterdam. PRDAS is the most important feature of this fork and serves as the key readiness indicator. We would like to see EOF in Fusaka along with a few additional EIPs in this fork. And then the core EIPs that they want is PRDAS, EOF, and the ModX gas cost increase. And other EIPs that could be considered is the transaction gas limit cap, a pre-compile for SECP 256 R1 curve support, sorry, I don't know what that is, and set up a bounds for mod exp. And the reason for this is PRDAS is scaling, they want this as soon as possible. And then for Glamsterdam, the focus should be on censorship resistance, slot organization improvements, and others as well. So this is actually really, really cool to see this, that what's happening here is that the execution client teams themselves are kind of taking the lead from taking Vitalik's lead and really trying to push forward things and move ahead with upgrades. Like, this idea of Fusaka in 2025, end of Q3, beginning of Q4, just sounds really good. And I think this is really positive. So I'm excited to see exactly what, how this works out. But it's really great that, Vitalik's taking the lead and then all these other core teams are kind of like following that lead. I think that's sounding really good. Okay, I got excited today when I saw this news, so I'm sharing it with all of you all as well. So Devconnect is coming to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and it's going to take place from November 17th to November 22nd, 2025. Now, this has been teased for quite a while, as DevCon was happening in Istanbul last November. Talk very quickly started spreading, like unofficially, that the next one was going to be in Argentina. And, that was kind of just rumbling under the surface. No one knew the exact dates or times or whether even Argentina was confirmed. Vitalik a couple of days ago said we should have it in Argentina after the whole fiasco with the Libra meme coin. And then Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, very quickly jumped on that bandwagon saying, yes, come, show us good crypto in Argentina. I think trying to change the image of crypto in Argentina after that fiasco. And now we have an official announcement saying that this Devconnect will be taking place in Argentina. I tentatively will be going. let's I still got a lot of stuff to sort out before I can, confirm that for sure. But it looks like I'll be going. I'll be hopefully be going to Argentina for just over a week. In November, I'll be there for all 5 days of the conference. Hopefully, I've never been to a Devconnect before, so it will be my first. I think it's going to be really good fun. So this is very much like, serious Ethereum stuff, and there won't be any other L2s or any of that kind of stuff. It'll just be Ethereum research, Ethereum. There'll also be the Bankless Summit that will be having probably the day before. That date hasn't been announced yet. I think it'll be on the 16th, most likely. That's just a 1 day of TED Talk style talks that, I think went down really well. I watched a couple of those from the previous version they had in the first one. That was really good. So there will be stuff happening. There'll be other stuff happening. There'll be parties and all that kind of stuff that usually happens. But this is serious Ethereum stuff. So hopefully you'll see me there. Okay, next there was a little bit of news that is kind of bubbling in the Ethereum ecosystem, and this is to do with a crypto summit that is taking place at the White House on Friday this week, on March 7th, 2 days from now. And at this crypto summit, a whole bunch of crypto people from the US have been invited. And Anthony Sassano here says that people are asking if Ethereum is going to be represented at the White House Crypto Summit meeting. And while all these people are building on Ethereum, World Liberty Financial is building on Ethereum. Chainlink is chain agnostic now, but they have significant businesses on Ethereum. Coinbase is building a layer 2 on Ethereum, and USDC mostly lives on Ethereum. Robinhood is working with Arbitrum probably to make a layer 2 of their own. Kraken is building Inc. as an Ethereum L2 and being very bullish Ethereum. And he says, love to have someone from Etherealize join, hopefully Danny Ryan. And Danny replies by saying, put me in, coach. But seriously, I think I could do an excellent job broadly representing Ethereum's interests in this kind of environment. Put me in. So I was like, come on, let's get you in with a little meme reply. But this was an invite basis, I guess, from the White House staff. So Danny would need an invite to go. And Ryan Selkis actually replied by saying that I was, I'm supposed to go, but he said I would like to send my proxy Danny Ryan instead, who's actually helped build a platform on which all of crypto's useful applications were born. Ethereum needs a rep there. Let's get in there. So this was really cool of Ryan to share this information and share this invite. Now, I don't know what has happened since that post by Ryan went out yesterday. I don't know if Danny has officially been added to the list or not, but there's going to be a whole lot of people there. People like Sailor and David Sachs, who's the crypto czar, and a whole bunch of other people from the Trump admin. And there's going to be a whole lot more going on there as well. And then there's going to be a reception, and that is the event that a whole bunch of other people are going to be at. But the round table, I don't know if Selkis was asking Danny Ryan to go to the round table, but at the moment there's some information that's still unclear. And Eleanor here says that this is all happening in real time with plans not 100% finalized, so things could change, but this is what I'm hearing at this hour. So hopefully we'll get some good information soon. And then Jake says that Ethereum should absolutely, Jake Chavinsky here, that's a crypto lawyer, says that Ethereum should absolutely be there. Ethereum's been disadvantaged in DC recently, but should definitely fix up. And I think it says policy Ethereum is punching way below its weight, and it needs to really step up its game. So I think Etherealize, started with this idea of pitching Ethereum to Wall Street. I think Etherealize needs to have a policy arm or a lobbying arm attached to it, where Etherealize is also pitching to DC at the same time. But I think I think the ball is definitely rolling now, and the steps being taken that just were unimaginable, just a few months ago. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.